Thank you for joining us here on the KPRC 2 Plus live stream. We continue to follow that breaking news out of West Houston, where there's been a shooting during an armored truck robbery at a Bank of America.
This happened on Westheimer, just west of Hillcroft, just after 11:30 this morning. Let's check back in with our Mario Diaz in the newsroom with some of that new information. Mario?
Yeah, what we've learned is that this was a robbery that took place, an attempted robbery, obviously, now that we've learned at around 11:45 this morning. This is at the Bank of America that you mentioned there, at that location there in the 8100 block of Westheimer on the west side. This is over by Voss and Fondren. We've learned that there was a female driver, another security guard. The suspects came up on them, according to HPD. There was some sort of pepper spray that was presented, and that's when there was a skirmish, and one of the guards ended up shooting one of the suspects. That suspect has been transported by HFD to the hospital, again, according to law enforcement with knowledge of this case. Now, that's where this is going to be very key here, because if that suspect is able to survive or is not facing a life-threatening injury, then you can get some questions from him answered possibly by detectives. That's the scene right there. That's what you're looking at. This happened again just over an hour ago, right before the lunch hour on one of Houston's busiest roadways, Westheimer, on the west side. This is between Fondren and Voss. There's a Specs right there on the corner. Spoke to one of their employees who did confirm that there was plenty of police activity at the scene, and this took place in the back of the bank area there, where they have the ATM machines. This is an armored van, as you can see. And from the images that we had on the ground earlier, and which you'll see at some point here, you can tell how fortified that van truly is. But this took place as one of the guards was apparently out of the van, and you had the suspects come up on the scene there, multiple suspects. We have been told by law enforcement, HPD, that there was four suspects. One of them was shot. 3 others got away in an SUV. They do not believe they are not in the immediate area anymore. I'm certain that there is law enforcement that will be canvassing that area here at some point, looking for any abandoned vehicles, specifically an SUV. At times, you have a vehicle that could be stolen to be used during crimes. We know this because we've reported on this numerous times at KPRC 2 Investigates, how stolen vehicles are used to commit a crime. They are then dumped, and then the suspects will get into another vehicle. And that is a key there in that general area. Anywhere there, if there's any kind of dumped SUV, then that could be obviously another piece to this puzzle as investigators continue to piece together this investigation. HPD's robbery is fully aware of this, and you have detectives there examining that vehicle. Again, you have one suspect who was transported to the hospital after shots were fired, shot by one of the security guards, we were told. 2 of them were inside of that armored van. Again, this is a scene of the bank from behind there. As you can tell, that's Westheimer up ahead, just to the other side of it in the front. Traffic moving smoothly there. This played out in the back, so you didn't have the potential of having customers coming in through the front of the bank, actually outside of their vehicles, as all of this unfolded. Keep in mind, this comes at a time in which the FBI has been looking for suspects in a string of armored robberies, and they have labeled them as the Scrooge Sprayers. There's been robberies that have taken place throughout the Houston area here in recent months, armored vehicles back in November, December, and now you have this in January. FBI, we are told, is on the scene as well, or they are working this case, which is not uncommon, and you obviously will we'll see whether or not there will be a connection to yet another case to these individuals that they are looking for. But it's been a very, very active morning for HPD. After all this snow has thawed and there wasn't much activity in the city, you have activity coming back to light here right before the lunch hour. That's the very latest live in the newsroom. Mario Diaz, KPRC 2 Investigates.
Yeah, just so thankful that the security guard and the armored truck driver were not hurt. Mario, thank you.
We do want to get out to that scene to our Joy Addison and Zach Lashway. They've been out there talking to investigators. Guys, what are you hearing out there?
Yeah, so we've been having conversations with investigators while we've been here on the scene. They've been able to confirm a couple of details with us. I'll start out with what happened originally, and then I'll let Zach expound upon those details. So we know that there was an armored vehicle still here behind me that pulled up to make a drop. We do know that there was a black SUV that pulled in at about the same time, and there were people in that SUV that ambushed the driver and the security that was also in the car. The security was armed and then fired shots at one of the people that was inside of that armored vehicle, excuse me, and we do know that that person, he was a black male, was shot and transported to the hospital. Zach.
It's important to note at this time, authorities do not know how many suspects ambushed the guards here with Garda World. Again, there was a female driver, there was a male security guard. They ambushed them, this group of suspects, with pepper spray, and that is when the male security guard in the armored truck fired at the suspects, shooting one of the suspects. It's unclear at this time that suspect's condition or identity. We do know that suspect was transported to Ben Taub. Right now, police are searching for those suspects, not in this area. We asked that question. We asked, should people in this area be concerned? And they believe, investigators believe, those suspects are not in this area at this time. Right now, they are reviewing surveillance video, both from this Bank of America location and other nearby businesses along Westheimer.
Yeah, so still an active investigation out here. We do have some sound for police. Let's go ahead and roll on that.
They were coming to do an exchange for the money collection.
Okay.
And basically they were
Workers of the bank.
Yes, so it's from the armored car, their collection of the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were coming here, and they basically were surprised by several suspects, okay, that are at large right now, that we're trying to track them at this time. One of the suspects did have a confrontation with the armored security, and he did discharge his weapon several times, striking the suspect. And the suspect is injured, and he's not, we don't know if he's critical at this time because he just arrived at Ben Taub. And pretty much at this time, that's all the information we have.
Do we know the age of that suspect?
No, not at this time.
Do we know how many suspects are at large?
Several. Yes, several.
More than 3?
I don't want to give you exact number at this time because we're still collecting the video evidence at this time and trying to ascertain the exact number of the suspects. But it is more than 2.
More than 2. Were there any injuries? Other injuries?
None besides the one suspect that was shot.
And those clothes that were just collected, were that part of the investigation?
Correct. Yeah, that's the suspects.
Those clothes belong to the
Yes.
This is the first part of what we're saying. Can you start from the beginning? What exactly happened?
Okay, well, you have the company. Obviously, the name of the company is an armored car, and they're here to make a collection from the ATM. And apparently, the suspect must have known what time they were going to be here, so they ambushed them and they tried to take over the vehicle. And one of the security guards was even pepper sprayed, and he returned fire and struck one of the suspects. And at that time, when the suspects fled the scene.
So there was an exchange of fire between...
Not fire. One of the suspects sprayed him with pepper spray. And then the security guard returned fire because they were trying to rob him and shot one of the suspects.
So the security guard shot the suspect that has been transported to Ben Taub.
Correct, yes.
And the other suspects
are at large at this time. We're tracking them down.
You don't have a number?
No, we don't.
The clothes that were here, they took their clothes off?
Well, no, that's because during the actual event, they had to go ahead and remove it so they could access, the paramedics could access, so they could treat the wound at the scene.
Okay, so those are the clothes of the suspect that was transported to
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Very good. I think that's it. So the suspects came here at the time they were retrieving cash,
Correct.
The armored truck. They ambushed the driver or the armored truck with pepper spray. The security guard at the bank is who fired.
Not the security guard, the armored driver of the car.
Armored driver.
Yes.
Okay.
But who pepper sprayed?
The suspect.
The suspect
Yes.
pepper sprayed.
The security, yes.
And
The
then
armored
from
security.
The security guard shot one of the suspects.
Yes.
And the pepper spray, was it the suspect who was transported, or?
I don't know which one. No, I don't have that information.
More than one suspect?
Yes, it's more than one.
How much money was taken? Was it money taken?
We don't know at this time because all the money is still in the truck and that hasn't been accounted for at this time. So I don't think it got to that point.
What's the condition of the driver of the armored truck?
Oh, the driver is a female driver, and she's okay. Obviously, they're shooken up. There's a traumatic event. That's not something that occurs every day, of course. And the security guard, also from the company, he's also a little shaken up, but they're fine, physically fine. 11:46.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So the truck. So there's a female driver and a security guard. So two people.
Two in the vehicle, two in the armored car. Yes, armored security. Yes.
Okay. So how many shots fired? Two
I'm sorry.
How many shots fired? There were 2 cases on the floor.
I'm not sure how many shots. We're still trying to gather all the evidence, but it was more than 2. Yes.
Do we know how far they made it? Did they go inside? Were they still in
No,
the truck?
it was all transpired outside the bank because they were trying to obviously access the van because all the money that's inside the van is armored truck. So.
And it was regarding the ATMs out here.
Yes, they were trying to do an extraction so they could, collect the money.
Yeah, so a very fluid scene out here. Zach and I are still working to find out more information. Here are a couple of things that we want to know. We have not been able to confirm exactly how many people were in that black SUV that ambushed that armored truck back here. We also don't know how much money was taken. We'd like to know the identities and the ages of the suspects and the condition of that suspect that was shot.
And Joy, I'd like to add too, there were no other injuries from anyone here on scene. Of course, that female driver and the security guard, the male security guard, police say they were unharmed. They're very shook from what happened. It was a very traumatic experience. I also would like to add too, we've covered several of these incidents in past months, recent months, of situations just like this happening at other banks across the metro area. So as soon as we get more information, we of course will update you on air and online at clicktohouston.com.